Hello and welcome to another episode of Solo Inter podcast. With me, as usual, is Parmeshwar and Manish. And seven victories in a row, or seven unbeaten in a row right now against Genoa. And honestly speaking, I was very pissed off at the end of first half because we didn't kill off the game. First minute goal and then just dilly-dallying in the field, like just going through the motions, not finishing. Yes, the keeper had some good saves to make, but we should have finished better. Parmeshwar, coming to you first, what did you feel? Do you think we should have killed off the game in the first half and then eased off in the second half? Like give Sanchez more time to play, maybe 55th minute substitution and stuff like that?
So yeah, Gotham coming to the match straight away. To begin with, I'll just like to say that yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Like it was a bit frustrating, but I think since I would like to touch upon a few points about Genoa since we missed out on the preview. See, Genoa themselves were coming off an unbeaten run since they hired Davide Ballardini back. That's what he does. This is his fourth spell at Genoa. Whenever they have a crisis, whenever they're in the relegation zone, they hire him. He saves them. This is what he does. He employs the 4-4-2. They sit deep and they make things things tough for every team. So I was expecting a tough game in that sense. I know we scored like 32 seconds into the match. We'll come to that, but I think that was also partly down to the fact that I don't know. I was very surprised when I saw Genoa's lineup. They decided to bench key players like Miha Zaic, Davide Zappacosta, Matea Destro, who's on a scoring form, barring his last 2-3 games. I was really surprised, and then I realized that they have the Derby della Lanterna coming up against Sampdoria. So they rotated for that, but still the core philosophy of Ballardini is to have a low block, compact shape. So I always thought it was going to be difficult. And to your point, Gotham, yes, we should have finished off a few chances because Lautaro had a scissors kick, the bicycle kick chance, Darmian had a chance. So yes, we could have finished it off, but games are these are sort of matches where this happens. These are those teams where we would have dropped points last season, those tricky teams, as you will. Like last season, you remember that Sassuolo have been a bogey team in the past, but we drop points to them last season. We used to drop points to Parma, and so these sort of things can still be frustrating even if you grow as a team or even if you go into the match. But I think what matters the most for me is the result, because eventually in past seasons it's evident we would have crumbled under pressure. We would have gotten frustrated at the what do you say, at missing all those chances, right? But the way we kept our cool at the back in midfield, every match I watch, as every game week passes, I have this worry in the back of my head, Brozovic, Barella, please don't get booked. Even Bastoni and Lukaku now, because all four are on 4 yellow cards. So I'm like, please don't get booked, please don't get booked. But they still don't pick up a yellow card. And I hope they don't against Parma too, because we have Atalanta after that. So that's going, if one of them does, it's going to be difficult. But yeah, like Gotham, to your point, we had the chances, but these are the sort of win. You can't always have it your way. You can't always have like a free flowing game. You have to win, you have to grind some wins out. That's part of it. And once we got the second goal, once Darmian scored that, I think things eased up. Once Conte subbed Sanchez, and you could see the dynamism he brings. Conte himself said it in his press conference yesterday that you know Alexis is in like probably one of the best shape, like is one of the best phases of his career, right? Like you could see the link up players offering one touch flicks and everything, and he got himself a goal thanks to his positioning. So I think even with the substitutions, he didn't go wrong. We needed it. Ericsson, once again, what a performance. Like he did well. He did a pretty decent job. Could have scored maybe like one shot if he placed his shots better. But overall, I can understand where you're coming from. But I think these are the sort of victories that, or these are the sort of matches that really test you. You need to take it that one notch further to prove that you are actually gunning for the Scudetto in a way, right? You need to keep going till the end. You need to play dirty, and you have to show that winning mentality. Yeah.
Yeah, Manish, coming to you, Parmeshwar said, like Genoa didn't play their strong 11 because they are playing against Sampdoria next, and they wanted the players to be fresh, which means that they kind of played their B team against us. And from our previous seasons, like that's where I come from, wherein like as Parmeshwar said, just to point it out again, that in previous seasons you would have drew this match or lost this match because we didn't have that mental strength or the character to like pull it through. But now with Conte, we are grinding out the results and stuff like that. But back of my mind, I'm still like, oh, we are going to draw this or we are going to lose this because it's been happening like seasons and seasons over and over again. Like, how did you feel? Like, do you feel like you're satisfied with the performance, or do you feel like we eased off a bit when we shouldn't have, and then at the last moment we just came through?
Yes, so Gautam, like you said, important point was their biggest match of the season is the next game. They're playing against Sampdoria. For them is the local derby. That for them is the biggest point. So for yes, against Inter, pretty much they used the B team. A lot of I think around 6 players were rested for this match against Inter. So that itself said a big thing. And we should not let rest on our laurels because I think Conte said in the pre-match that this match will be challenging because if you go by the media, if you listen to the praises and stuff, I think it'll be carried away. So I'm glad Conte kept the team focused, didn't care it's a B team, C team, or just go on, do what we do best. And if you check the possession, I think overall we had like around 51% possession, which is not a much. It didn't dictate the actual story. But if you check the right facts, like we had 24 shots, out of which 12 are on target as compared to Genoa's 2 shots on target. So yes, it was a pretty comfortable match. But the way we started, I think that's where we took a step off the accelerator. I think Lukaku within 30 seconds scored. I think hardly we have scored such early goals. It's really unusual for us Inter fans as well, like right away scoring. But saying that Lukaku has been dragging this team forward, I said it in my last pod that Lukaku for me is one of the best. He's playing his form of his life. He's the one dragging this team forward. And if I think more or less all 3 goals, he had a hand indirectly. The second one he passed to Darmian, and the third one he shot the keeper's shot and went to Alexis Sanchez for a header. So yes, this match, although after the first goal there was big massive gap, and second half also we started a bit slow. But saying that we were always under control, we didn't give them to shoot easily. They didn't have much shots on target. Pretty much our defense is so reliable. Handanovic didn't make any of the stops. I think we Inter fans got a little tensed when Pandev came on in the second half. That was the only tense point. Just seeing him entering the pitch, that itself, like we thought, okay, this might not be a day because we are not finishing off our chances. But overall, a very comfortable match. We had 9 corners to our credit. And yes, very good match. Like I said, Lukaku for me played really well. He's carrying the stream forward. That's also worrying me because we are too reliant on Lukaku, I feel. Also, it was refreshing to see Eriksen. He started off in the left, in between, he went to the right. And I think last he finishes the game off in the center, playing a register role. And I think the first time we have seen Eriksen play the whole 90 minutes. So that was a good, refreshing treat. So pretty much it was guaranteed sub Eriksen for Vidal in the 68th minute. That didn't happen. So, and I saw like Eriksen involved in a lot of things. And when he played the defensive midfielder role, I saw him give a couple of long balls. That couple of good passes he had given to Sanchez, and which started off the counter attack. So I think Conti can use him in that position also, which I think we all said earlier, like we should try him in the register role. But overall, got them a good performance, good 3 points. And like I said, there's never an easy match in Italian league. We should play till the final whistle. But it was convincingly we won, and the end result, although it says 3-0, we had a big gap till the second goal came. But overall, a good performance by Inter.
Yeah, and just sticking with you itself, Manish, like you said, like it doesn't matter if the teams we play against play their B team or C team. But is that a psychological boost for us now? Because when you see Genoa, like usually they don't do this. Even though they have a derby coming up, if they know that they can take points of a team, they'll play their strong 11. But looks like before the match itself, they're like, oh, Inter are too strong. Looks like they're going to beat us anyway, so let's rest our top players and give others a chance. So do you think if this is the mentality that Conte and the team has built up now, that the rest of the teams in the league, they look at us and like, okay, we might, like Lukaku and Lautaro are like just scoring for fun. So they are looking at us and like, okay, these guys will probably score 3 or 4 goals against us. Let's not play our best players, let's play our B team. And if that's the mentality, do you think that's a great psychological boost for us as well? Because you see the play team sheet before the match and you see like, oh, the opposition coach has practically half given up with the squad selection. Do you think that helps us as well in a way?
Yes, definitely. I think over the years, this is the strongest team we have. And it's not just, okay, Lukaku being a main threat, yes, but Lukaku draws a lot of defenders towards him, and Lautaro's left at acres of space. Then we have Hakimi, then we have Perisic. So threat comes from all direction. And this is a really strong focal point for us, like for attack. And Inter in the league has this most scored team, most amount of goals scored, and second best defense. So yes, coaches, you know what? If they have any important matches coming up, definitely they think like Inter, this match is more or less lost, which again is a good thing for us because uh, it's good if other team fears us. Yeah, that's really good because we want that because all these years Inter has lost the cutting edge of killing off matches and the fear like Mourinho's team it had like in 2009 2010 whichever team used to play everyone is scared to play against Inter, and I'm glad Conte has brought that back, and I think right now we are the most feared team to play against, and teams respect us in that way, which is really good. But saying that, we should not take it for granted. Like you said, Conte is motivating me. And best part, what I liked about Conte is even though we are 1-0, we're leading and we're controlling the match, he still was screaming in the touchline, going for every ball, trying to charge up. That's really good thing about coach, because if you see some coaches like Claudio Ranieri or Pirlo and stuff, pretty much quiet, sitting in the bench, but Conte's not that. He actually plays the game mentally. Each and every tackle, he's like, go for it, go for that. So that's a very good thing. I think last time we had like this step crazy coach was when we had Mourinho. After that, pretty much all the coaches are a little calm and relaxed. So, each and every player, each and every ball is, we give a lot of focus to win it, to go for the 50-50, don't leave off any spaces. I'm really happy. And this is pure Conte's merit. I give a lot of merit to Conte for this.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, the same thing to you as well. Like Conte has brought this mentality now, and previous seasons we have seen teams do that against Juventus, and we get so frustrated, like to play your best team against Juventus, and they don't because they know that Juventus is going to beat them. And now it's happening to us, and it feels great that the teams don't play their best 11 if they have a big match coming up, already giving up, saying that okay, Inter might beat them. So, what are your views? Like, it's a boon for us, right? If all teams from now on do that.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how much progress we have made as a team, and I mean, it's evident now because Conte as a coach has made a huge difference to the team. The players are mentally strong. He said in his press conference yesterday that like Lukaku has grown mentally, and many other players have. It's not only him, and you can see that like the rotation itself shows it, and like the other teams basically pretty much know that even if they probably feel their best 11, they'll probably lose like 2-0, 3-0. I'm not trying to sound like overconfident and arrogant, but that's probably what they think. And if their best team loses by that margin, it's not, it doesn't help their morale going into the next game or for the rest of the season. So might as well rest the main players, chop and change and give others a chance. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, this is what Juventus was like a few years ago. Teams would, as you said, teams would rest their players, but this is what that's why people say Inter have closed the gap to Juventus. Inter are almost on the level, or even I won't say in ahead of Juventus, but probably at the same level. We have beaten them, we've drawn them, we've lost to them this season once, but that was mainly down to our silly errors. We could have avoided that and even beaten them. All those three games we were probably the better team in all phases. So yeah, I mean, it's a sign of things, or it shows the change that is happening in the league, that Inter have really stepped up. And yeah, I mean, it's good to see in a way, because now that your best players, or probably your entire team is making other teams think as to what they need to do. Because even if our tactical approach is pretty much similar in terms of our formation and even our 11, there are the entire team causes, not, I won't say fear, but they know, other teams know the quality of this team. Like you see Lukaku now. What is left to say now? Yesterday he, I think, scored his 24th goal in 31 games in all competitions. Then he's scoring, he literally in 32 seconds. You see the goal he scored, we all saw it, running at the defense. He did it against Lazio to assist Lautaro. He did it against Milan. Now he's doing it against Genoa. When you see his physique, you see his body orientation. He's a beast. Defenders have to think twice when he runs at you. He didn't do it only once yesterday. The first goal. Apart from that, he also had another similar run wherein Perrin, he was making good saves to his credit. So he saved that shot. Otherwise, he could have probably scored a similar goal again in that match. So people do fear that, I guess. Sorry, I mean, teams do fear that. And Lautaro, is slowly growing. You can see he is also a bit more confident. Then, there's just so many elements, So I think teams have started to understand now that, Inter on a whole are very solid. But that doesn't mean, of course, to that point, once, because Conte knows this. Conte has said it in his press conferences, on multiple occasions, that he knows that teams know that Inter are good. He keeps on saying that other teams know how good we are, but he's someone who never gets complacent. He said that when we prepare for Parma, we are going to show them respect, and we're not going to field a weak 11, right? I know we have, as I said, 4 players on 4 yellow cards, but he's still probably going to keep the same 11, right? So that is what it is. Like, even if we are going down this path, even when we have, like, showed other teams that, we are a team to, let's say, fear, or, we should not be taken lightly. At the same time, it's us who should not get complacent and, overconfident, because as we all know now, the gap between us and AC Milan is only 4 points. And then Juventus are Juventus. They can always claw back, and they have a game in hand, which they'll play on the 17th of March against Napoli. So we can't, more than being worried about other teams, I would rather say that we should not be the ones getting complacent. Like Lukaku said in his interview yesterday, he was asked, are you are you trying to win the Cup of Canonier? Are you battling for that with Ronaldo? He said, all I care about is Inter, not my individual accolades. He said he would like to have it, but his priority is Inter, and that's what it should be. As Darmian also said, everyone at this team feels important. Like, even if they're not playing, even if they're playing less, and they understand the fact that that we are only in one competition, and the players will have to make sacrifices to reach the ultimate goal, which is the Scudetto, right? That's what Conte said. He also said that he appreciates the fact that players who are on the bench, who come off the bench, or some who don't even come off the bench these days. He appreciates the mentality. He knows, they understand the fact that the one and only goal right now is the Scudetto. And he did touch upon this, that once we got eliminated from the Champions League, there was a bit of bitterness. Of course, the way we got eliminated, it hurt us all, I guess. So now the focus is like there, like they have to redeem themselves. So in a way, yeah, I mean, it's good to see that teams do make these changes, thinking that oh yes, Inter are so tough. But my priority is we can't afford to get complacent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like Conte said as well, that the squad is united. Like, even though you're playing, you're not playing. Like, people tend to forget that in training, it's not 11 people training; it's the entire squad training. So everyone is useful. I mean, when Burnley was there, like, even though he didn't play a single minute, he's still a legend among the fans. So it's what they contribute during training as well that counts. So even though they don't play, they know that what they do in training counts towards the 11 that play. And next up is Parma, and they are second from bottom. Parmeshwar, sticking with you, like, even though Conte might say that he'll play a strong 11, I have a sneaky feeling that Lukaku will be rested and Sanchez will start with Lautaro. Like, how do you think the game plan should be against Parma? Because they are struggling, but they recently drew against Udinese 2-2. So it's not like they're not scoring goals. They are scoring goals. So how do you think, like, we should approach this? If we can we approach it the same way like we did against Genoa, wherein, like, I mean, I was thinking after 70 minutes, Genoa is going to shift gears and we'll be in trouble. Turned out like we shifted gears and we like scored 2 goals and then it was rested. So how do you think against Parma it should be like? Should we lead off in the first half, or like score early if we can, or then push them at the 70th minute?
So the thing with Parma, I just just to give a better background of Parma, what baffled me about Parma is that last season they finished 11th. They still sacked their coach Roberto D'Aversa, and that was very surprising. They hired ex-Lecce coach, who got relegated with Lecce, Fabio Liverani, and I was very confused. I was like, what are these guys trying to do? And their recruitment was really off the mark. They signed too many young players in the summer, and When you sign too many young players, you tend to get inexperience, and that showed, in January. Then they tried to helter-skelter. They brought Daversa back. I guess that's the thing with Italian teams. You sack the coach initially, then you bring them back to save your season. And then they signed experienced players like, Graziano Pella, loaned Joshua Zirkzee from Bayern Munich, then, these are like with Parma, what I'm expecting is we should win, but then since they've returned to the Serie A, they have been like one of our bogey teams, at least in the home games, if you notice, because they beat us once in their initial season once they returned. That Di Marco goal, that long range. Then last season we drew. This season we drew. We could have probably won the first leg because Maresca, he didn't give us a penalty when Perisic was fouled in the box in the end. But that's that. But yeah, I mean, the away games we have won, but it's always been close. The first one was 1-0 upon their return to Serie A. Then last season we won 2-1 after struggling. We were very lucky to win that game last season. And this season, I'm assuming a close game. And yes, they are going to have a lot of absentees going into the match. Cornelius, who was their top scorer last season, who's been way off the mark this season, scored only one goal. He's absent. Our main fear, Gervinho, who scored a brace against us, he's going to be absent most likely. Graziano Pelle won't be available, Zirkzee won't, and then comes Jan Karamo. We all remember him. He's been starting, and ex-players, of course, the narrative is that they score against us. So we need to keep an eye out for him. But generally speaking, Gotham, Parma have been really poor this season. As you said, the second last, conceded 47 goals, man. Like, that's too much. That's the second most in the league. The highest is, of course, Crotone with 57 and only scored 19 goals. And with the way our defense is going, Gotham, at this moment, we can't afford to concede to Parma at this point, because let's remember, after Parma we've got Atalanta. Okay, so then teams like Atalanta start feeling confident if teams like us concede to someone like Parma. And this is no disrespect to Parma, but we can't afford it at this point where there are like less, where there's less than half a season left, right? We can't afford these minor niggles and minor slip ups. And as you said, Gautam, I remember earlier, and you've said this multiple times, that whenever we win, or whenever we are like on a 7-game unbeaten run, we tend to drop points in the 8th one and all. But I think these are things that end up changing, because then we had Torino as our bogey team, that changed. We had Genoa as our bogey team, that changed. So these things changes. Now, if what my perspective is, if Milan can go on like a, such a long unbeaten run, 20 plus games or something in all competitions, why can't we? We need to, these are mental blocks you need to eliminate at this point, right? There's no room for that because there's only 14 games left. And I know 14 games is long, but then it's like if you drop points in one match, it's pretty much, it becomes so tight all of a sudden. So with Parma, yeah, sticking to that, it's I'm not saying it's going to be like an easy game, because like they have something to fight for. They have to claw out of the relegation zone, and Daversa still can do a job. It's just unlucky with him that he has to take on a team that is battling relegation, unfortunately for him. And they will do everything. They are a tricky team. Jan Karamo can cause us problems. There are a few players who can. So I'm not going to take them lightly, but we can't afford to drop points here. I mean, if it was a tough game, I would still be cautious. Like, if it was a big team, I mean to say, I would still be more cautious about my evaluation of them. But nah, man, this is not a game we can't. And Conte said this, right? Gotham, like before, after the Milan derby, he said this, that even if the Milan derby is the Milan derby and that is a test, the actual, like, another big test in this case is the matches against Genoa and Parma, because again, coming to my old point, that we do tend to in past years drop points against these smaller teams. So these are the mental tests. You can't afford to get complacent. So Genoa are done now. We proved that we can beat Genoa. Now we have to keep this going against Parma, and for the rest of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, Manish, coming to you, like as Parmeshwar said, they have a weakened squad. Most of the players are injured, and now they have considered 47 goals, and we are scoring for fun. So, do you think like we should go with a strong 11 and give a strong performance in the first half, maybe 3-0, 4-0 up, and then pull out anyone like Lukaku, Lautaro, everyone, give youngsters a chance? So, do you think this is a perfect game for rotation and play like not a weakened team, but give someone like Ranocchia a chance, give Sanchez a starting chance, give Vidal a chance to start again, or maybe Sensi? before he gets injured in the 10th minute again. Like, do you think this is the way to go?
No, Gautam, like Conti said, we have 14 finals left. He never said 14 matches. He said from now on, it's 14 finals. So that shows the mentality of Conti, what exactly he wants from the team. It's clearly evident that he's going to put the strongest 11. And I don't think for a minute he's going to rest Lukaku because we don't have any Champions League commitments. We don't have any cup matches coming up. So, rest players for what? Now we have 14 matches. Yes, if you're 2 or 3-0 up in the first half and then second half in the 60th minute, we might give a break. But other than that, I don't see any other way. Conte is going to stick to his strongest 11. Also, if you saw the match with Genoa, we missed Hakimi, and it started slow. Although Darmian did a wonderful job, he scored a goal. But like last week, I brought a point. Like it does. Now the formation is perfect. He found his perfect 11. He won't jeopardize that now. It's like after so long, like with a lot of trial and errors, put Ericsson up front, put Ericsson up back, put Ericsson all over the place. Perisic pretty much started as a striker, then he moved as the midfielder to the left back, and pretty much each and every role he has tried. So right now, Conte has finally got all the pieces of his puzzle, and now I don't think he's going to change anything for next 14 matches, for next 14 finals, like he called it. Is pretty much he's going to use the strongest 11. And yes, and like you mentioned, Parmesh also mentioned that 19 goals scored by them this season. For them also, you know what, it's survival now. See, Parma is a strong team. Nobody expects it to get relegated, so for them also they'll give their all. We should not take it lightly because the teams battling relegation are apparently the most toughest matches to face. So we must never take it for granted over the bottom of the table or second from the bottom, but we must put our strongest 11. And I repeat that because it's like we don't have any other commitments right now. We don't have a Champions League match coming up. We don't have a knockout stage where we need players to be adequately rested. It's pretty much one match a week. I think pretty other than this, we have 2 matches in this week. Pretty much from now on, there's going to be one match a week. So Gotham, to the point, we have to use the strongest 11, and I'm happy Conte is doing it that way.
Yeah, and looks like everything on the pitch is going really well, but off the pitch now, news again that Sunning has sold their Chinese team Jiangsu FC, and most of their the women's team, the youth team, everything is shut. So, and Parmeshwar, coming to you regarding now this is an official news. This from the source itself saying that okay they are shut and Inter is the only thing. So do you think now since there was no news on Inter thing, do you think they'll be more concentrated towards Inter, use the money from that and money that's saved from running those teams? Because to be honest, if you take you take ISL, you take Chinese Super League, the teams don't make money. It's a losing venture. You lose millions every year. But Inter is actually one of the most, they can turn a profit once the players are sold and once the Spalletti thing is done, and maybe, get youth teams in. I mean, Inter is not a loss-making project in the long run for them. So do you think the sale of the other teams will help them concentrate more on Inter, or do you think, okay, that's phase one, phase two is sell Inter?
Yeah, I mean, interesting point you brought up there, Gautam. See, the thing with Jiangsu FC, since they had to rename Jiangsu Suning to Jiangsu FC, the thing is we all know the Chinese government, has said that, no, sports is technically not deemed as a strategic operation. So they had to shut that down because anyways, the government had direct control. But with Inter, the thing is that Suning's retail business does benefit because it's a direct, connection to Europe in a way. So that way, yes, and they did sell 23.5% of their website shares to the government. So they have raised about $1 billion from that. I'm assuming it goes to helping Inter in a way. I'm not sure how, because of course we know there are financial commitments to be made, wages, unpaid wages, the Hakimi fee. We've broken down Lukaku's payment over his 5-year contract until 2024. So there's loads of payments to be made. So that's up to Suning. And yes, it is a worrying piece of news that Jiangsu had to dissolve in such a way, because they won the Chinese Super League last season and they were set to play in the Asian Champions League. And then this is what happens, their fans get a bomb, it's a sad moment for them. You need to think of that as well, like you're so excited about playing such an important competition, and your this thing, your club has shut down altogether. What do you do? So with Inter, I won't say it's not a worrying thing, Gautam. It is, because you never know what is going to happen. Like today, Eder, you remember Eder, of course, ex-Inter player, won the CSL with Jiangsu Suning now. He's come out and he's called Suning liars. He's said a lot of things out publicly. They're a bunch of liars. He's called. He's pretty much, he's gone in hard. I don't remember all the words, but liar was one word he used constantly. He spoke of how they didn't pay salaries on time and everything. So that is one thing to worry about. The fact that Suning keep on saying, we are committed, everything. But are they, like, so far? Yes, so far they've shown, they've paid the deferred salaries up until a certain point. But the main test now, in my opinion, from my knowledge, would be, will they pay the first Hakimi installment on March 31st or March 30th? Sorry. So will they do that? Or will they just sell the club before that? So Suning, but with Inter, as you said, Gautam, they can't just leave Inter in the air, like, because Inter is a bigger, no disrespect to Jiangsu, but Inter is a bigger club. If they do that with Inter, many people will call for their heads. They won't leave them. There's going to be too much backlash for Suning if they do that to Inter. So it is a worrying situation in my opinion. Yes, I won't say the Jiangsu, Suning is going to do the best for us, but with so many commitments to be made, I don't think they leave the club hanging like that. And everyone has said, today the Pirelli's, I think one of one of the higher ups said that Suning are trying to hold on, but they're also assessing options, and they are trying to do the best for the club. So I am optimistic in a way, but not too optimistic, because of what happened with Jiangsu FC. It is a worrying sign. But to be frank, what can we do? Like, it's just we wait and we see how things play out now. It's just what we can do. And many sources, many credible, just to cap off my thoughts on it, many credible sources are saying is that March is going to be the key month where the ownership could change hands, so some major development will happen regarding the ownership. And we all know the talks with BC partners are constant, ongoing. It never ended, like many sources suggested. So it is ongoing. It's there, and I think the sale of those website shares, I think, gives Suning a better bargaining chip to get what they want from BC partners. So yeah, I hope at least, nothing against Suning. I love what they did, but I think it's the time with Suning is up now. I think they need to move on. We need to move on from Suning, and they will be missed. But I think the conditions right now are just unfeasible to continue with them. Yeah.
Yeah, Manish, here's a thought that just came to my head, which is bad for us if it happens. So let's say Sunning can't pay everyone on time, and there is still outstanding things like they can't pay Hakimi thing, they don't pay salaries and stuff. Do you think the league might dock us points? And do you think this season will have a bad ending after everything we have done on the pitch? This is the way we might not win a title.
No, Gautam, that I think the probability we can ignore that for the time being. Although yes, salaries are not just due by Inter. I think overall the league, because I think the TV revenue hasn't come in, the TV rights, that is massive amount. So it's not just Inter struggling with the salaries. I think a lot more clubs are definitely struggling with it. So yes, like the foreign leagues, always it comes and goes. So I'm not actually very surprised to Parmesh's point, like, oh, what happened? All of a sudden, Chinese Super League just started like a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden, like, it was Jiangsu Suning FC, which they wanted a marketing tool, which later on the Chinese government told to remove the name Suning out of the club. So it was Jiangsu FC. So a lot of things which they thought as a good investment didn't pan out to be a good investment for them. And so that's one reason. And also, I think a couple of years back, we seen the Russian league was very attractive, and a lot of players went there, including our famous Samuel Eto'o went and joined there. It was good for 2 years, 2 colorful years, and then again the league collapsed. So pretty much, I consider Chinese league to be in that same stature. So it's just all of a sudden with new policies keep coming and going, that changes happen. So we should not be much worried, what I believe. But yes, regarding Inter's financial conditions, I think, yes, like I said, not just Inter, a lot more clubs are suffering. So hopefully we get a more clear picture this month, March, with BC partners. Are they willing to invest or not? But from the sources, what we've read so far, they're definitely looking into it. Also, sources that finance director left Inter to join the BC partners and give a more clear picture of how to take over. So yes, Gautam, I don't think we should be that extent worried. We'll do, like, we cannot control this thing at the end of the day. It's something not in our hands. We What we can control is definitely the results and putting the strongest performance. That's in our hands. So we should not be much more worried thinking about the future, what is going to happen now after 1 week. But I'm sure, yes, we have experienced directors by our side. We have people like Marota, who's the best in the business, and definitely can work out something. So that we can rule out right now, Gautam, if you ask me.
So yeah, Manish, yeah, like you said, things which are not under our control, we can't like debate about it because there's nothing we can. We have to just wait and see what happens with the owners and stuff like that. But coming back to the win against Genoa, let's do some player ratings with you, Parmeshwar. First, Handanovic. How much would you rate him?
I mean, this was one of those games where Handanovic didn't really have to do anything, if I'm not wrong, right? Like, what was there to say? Maybe one like long range cross that came in, inaccurate cross, and I think there was a bit of a worrying moment, Gotham, in the match. But I think Handanovic, apart from that, didn't have much to do. Like a bit
Yeah,
of build up play and anything. So I guess based on that, I'll give him like a standard 6 because I don't know what else to say. Like it was just it was just a comfortable day for him, and it's good to see. So yeah, 6, I guess.
yeah. Manish, like, what's your rating for Handanovic?
Like Parmeshwar pointed out, actually, one thing is he spilled the ball on Skriniar. That was,
Oh yeah,
I think, that was a very scary moment for all
but
Inter fans because
but if
he
you sorry to
collided. Yeah,
sorry just to interrupt. I think the thing was I think Skriniar was pushed by one of their players, so that's when Handanovic ended up spilling the ball.
but nonetheless, the referee didn't give a foul. If they had
Yeah,
scored
yeah,
it, that would have been definitely a goal.
yeah, exactly.
So Handanovic was unchallenged by the opposing team player. He just spilled it and spilled it in a very crazy area. So other than that, he was a spectator, so he didn't have much shots to do. So I'm not going to be too critical. I'll give a standard
Yeah.
6, like Parmeshwar said. What's yours, Gautam?
Yeah, same thing. Like, if we hadn't spilled that shot, then we wouldn't even need him at goal, I guess. I mean, there was nothing, one long shot and then one spillage. So I might actually, just for that spill, I might give him a 5. Like, if he had held on to the ball, maybe 6 or 7, but just for that, because it was a tense moment. Even though he saved the shot after that, even though it was shot directly at him, but still, because there was one lapse of concentration, even though, yeah, as Parmeshwar said, Skriniar was pushed and he hit Handanovic, but for me, I think he should have held because he had the ball firmly in his grasp. It wasn't like he was 50-50. So even after holding it, he spilled it. So I would give him a 5. So Manish, to you now, Skriniar.
Skriniar, I think he had a good game. He was commanding, he had distribution level, and Skriniar, I think for me, he's the best of the back three. He's the way he has picked up his form, is nothing sort of impressive. So I would give Skriniar 8 for this match.
Yeah. Parmeshwar, like your rating for Skriniar?
I mean, I mean, Skriniar was the most solid of the lot. I mean, there's no denying that, and you can clearly see the difference this season. He's back to probably being the best defender we have now. Of course, I mean, not that Devra has been bad, but Skriniar has just taken himself to another level. So I'd give him like an 8. Yeah, yes, Skriniar an 8. Yeah, pretty solid performance. Won all the duels, nothing to worry about. As I said, there was a moment where Genoa were putting in a few crosses. I think Skriniar cleared those pretty well. So yeah, 8.
Yeah, same with me as well. 8, kept a clean sheet, and yeah, not much pressure, did his job. So yeah, 8 for him. DeVry.
Ibra, I would say 7.5. Like I mentioned, the reason is Skriniar has been the best from back three, but no notable mistakes. Devray has been reliable as ever, and all three. And I would give Bastoni the same 7.5 rating for me.
Yeah. Parmeshwar, for you, DeVry
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Bastani.
yeah. So with Devra and Bastoni, I think from what I recall, I think just going purely by the stats, Devra had more recoveries to make in against Genoa. in general, and he also I think won an additional aerial duel. So I'm not just gonna give him more, but I think he's on par with Skriniar in that sense. Solely looking at the Genoa match, 8 on 10, and with Bastoni also, I think yet another pretty solid game by his standards. He also had like 4 or 5 recoveries again. So these are important things in my opinion. So because the backline was so well coordinated, I'll give them like a similar rating. So 8 for Bastoni as well.
Yeah, I think
What
I'll
about
go with Parmeshwar, and yeah, same thing. I'll give both of them an 8 because
yeah,
the three of them were a unit and they
exactly.
performed really well. And clean
Yeah,
sheet is a clean sheet. So there
yeah,
was no danger moments. So, and there was no screw ups. So that's a
yeah,
plus. So I would give them an 8.
yep,
Darmian, like for me personally, I would give him a 6. I mean, even though he scored a goal and stuff like that, I was not at all happy with his first half performance, wherein like your decision making is crucial, especially in these games. And there was moments wherein he went for goal instead of passing back to Lukaku. Or I think it was Lautaro. Yeah, Lautaro was free and he could have passed it back to him, but he went for goal and it was saved. But yeah, even the goal, it was he was there, right place at the right time. But it was all Lukaku's doing, who gave him the ball. And I think he could have done better. And maybe because in my mind, I'm comparing his performance to what Hakimi would have done, which is a bit unfair, I know, but I would give him a 6. Manish?
I would give Darmian a 7.5 rating. Why? For the fact is, whenever we call him, he's reliable. Definitely doesn't have any fancy moves or such a skill to beat the man, but he's definitely reliable. Defensive side of the game, he was quite good. He, yes, couple of mistakes were there. And like I said previously, Inter are like a the 11 is perfectly chosen from each and every player. So any player goes missing, we might find that difference. The replacing guy bringing slight difference. So Darmian obviously didn't have the same impact as Hakimi, but yes, nonetheless, when called upon, was reliable and definitely a much reliable option than Ashley Young. He scored a goal, I think, for first time in a very long time. So I give credit to the lad, and he also scored in Champions League for us. So for that, I would give a 7.5 rating.
Yeah, Parmeshwar.
yeah. So am more inclined towards Manish's thoughts than yours, Gautam, because I feel, yeah, I understand Darmian made a few. I mean, he could have made better passes, but what I also noticed about Darmian higher up the pitch was that he was shielding the ball well in a few occasions to hold on to the ball and to get others into play. And also there was a moment where he just ran into the box with a great speed to actually try and win the ball back. Apart from that, defensively he was sound, and you can't, as to your point, Gautam, we can't expect him to do flashy things like Hakimi does because they're different players. Hakimi relies on pace and more running into the space, and Darmian is someone who's solid defensively, who sits back. His priority is defending, right? He's a defensive wing back, if you will. So with all that in mind, and I think to Manish's point, he's been very good whenever called upon. He's never really had a bad game. So I consider all of that, and I think he was pretty good. So I'll give him a 7.5 as well. Just quickly to come to the other wing back, Perisic. I think he also was pretty decent yesterday. He had 7 recoveries, which is pretty impressive, considering we all know that it's not his position, his role. So I would give Perisic a 7. Yeah. What about you guys?
Perisic, I think I would give him an 8 because,
Mm,
like you said, it's not his favorite position. He's growing into the role and he's being instrumental. Like he's not the weak point anymore. Like he does his stuff and like he's a threat in attack as well. Even yesterday,
mm,
like he dribbled into the box. Yeah, he the defenders covered him, but he did his job and he was a constant threat in attack. And like you said, he recovered the balls as well. So he was doing his job defensively too. So I would give him an 8. Manish?
I would give Perisic a 7 rating. One, because he didn't directly contribute any assist or goal. If he'd done that, definitely his rating would have been higher. But yes, very reliable. And I think from now on to the next 14 matches, that is like out of the question. Perisic rules the left flank. And his work rate is amazing. So he didn't do anything like he had a couple of recoveries, yes, like Parmesan pointed out, but he didn't do something out of the blue where he assisted or scored. So for that, only that reason, seven, a respectable 7 score.
Yeah. Manish, sticking with you for this, maybe a future captain Barella.
Barella, I would say 7.5. He played really well. The first half, I think one of the shot hit the post and pretty much controlled the midfield. And I love the link up play with he and Lukaku. Lukaku holds up the ball, and each time Barella gets the ball, you can see the eagerness. He asks for the ball every time. So that is which is very nice to see. And for that, I would give 7.5 rating to Barella. And well deserved rest, I think, for all these matches he's been running. So I'm glad he took him off in the 60th minute. So well deserved rest.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would give him an 8 because the first goal he was instrumental. He gave the ball to Lautaro, then Lukaku. So I would give him an 8. Parmeshwar?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to go for the entire midfield because for me, I'll give my reasoning, but I think all three of them deserve an 8 in a different way. In like, I mean, the rating remains the same, but for each, for the roles they maintained. With Barella, as Manish said, one of his shots hit the crossbar. He was yet again doing the work of the ball, everything, and he also created the most chances. I think 7 chances in the match. So that's for Barella. For Brozovic, it was a pretty solid game. He didn't. One thing I noticed with Brozovic is that usually it's him who does most of the recoveries on the ground. Him sliding in, making those precise crunch tackles, sliding tackles, winning the ball. But yesterday he was doing more of it aerially. He won more aerial duels. So in that sense, I would give him an 8. And with Ericsson, very surprising to know he had 13 recoveries on the ground at the same time, and you could see the composure with Ericsson on the pitch. You can finally see he's managing energies well. He's understanding the defensive phase of the game. So I think all three of them contributed in their own way and in different phases, which complemented each other, like we said about the defense. So I think a solid 8 for all three. Yeah.
Manish, what about Brozovic and Ericsson for you?
So I give Barella a seven, and I would give no, I give 7.5, I believe. Yeah.
7.5, yeah.
Okay. Yes. For Ericsson and Brozovic, I would give a rating 7. Uh, I think Barella was out from the three. I think he played really well. Ericsson, yes, he did his job well. Nothing fancy, but I love the role when Ericsson played in the center of the park when he played the Regista. From there, he gave a couple of long passes. So that is something which impressed me. Generally, the midfield, like I said, it was not a very tough, challenging match. We had control of the match. So yes, I would give both of them a rating of 7.
Yeah. So Ericsson, I would give an 8 because he's building into a role and did his job well. Brozovic, I would give 7.5 mainly because first half he was not fully there. He was too complacent, and I mean that's the problem with him. Like every other game, either he's there 100% or he gets into the game slowly, maybe in the second half or something. I mean, he was instrumental in the second half, but in the first half, he was a bit sloppy. Maybe he was just still in that off mode. So I would give him a 7.5. And now for the strikers, Manish, you first. Lukaku and Martinez.
I would give Lukaku a straight 10 because this guy has been carrying the team forward, and I think all three goals are, like I mentioned, indirectly he's involved. The first one was amazing. Like he took on within 30 seconds and that hunger and and he confused the opponents. While normally he takes the ball to the left side and then shoots. This time he took to the right and he gave a very good shot. And he constantly took on players. It's not like he scored one goal and rested on it. He constantly, like Parmeshwar pointed out, last week we saw in the Milan derby taking on Romagnoli, but now again constantly took on one, two, three times. He took on the defender and gave shots wherever possible. He had a complete match, and he is carrying the team forward. So for me, Lukaku undisputedly number 10 rating. He gets the best man of the match for me.
And Martinez.
And Martinez, I would give an rating of 7.5 or 8, I would say, because he's again off the ball movements. His pressing constantly was really good. As They complement each other well. So Lukaku, the best part is whenever Lukaku has the ball, he draws defenders towards him. And look, Martinez left with acres of space. And Martinez, to his credit, has been improving a lot. And also, he covered a lot of area, closing down opposition and stuff.
Yeah. So for Lukaku, I would give 9 because he missed one chance where I think Perrin saved, but he should have buried the chance. Lukaku should have buried the chance. But apart from that, like you said, like he was instrumental in all three goals which we scored. So I would give him a 9, and yeah, man of the match for me as well. And Martinez, I would give 8.5 because yeah, he did his job as well. Like the pressing was, he kept on pressing. He made the opposition tired, and then Sanchez came and finished them off. So yeah, so I would give 8.5 to Sanchez and 9 to Lukaku and man of the match. Parmeshwar?
Yeah, so I guess yeah, I mean with Lukaku, it's a straight 10 for me as well because he was involved in all three goals. I mean, the first goal came in 32 seconds. That's the fastest inter goal in Serie A since Opta have been collecting stats in 2004-5 season. So 32 seconds and the same type of goal almost. That beastly forward run. So it has to be 10 for Lukaku and my man of the match as well. With Lautaro Martinez, I mean, I agree with both of you. Is pressing, understanding of how to move, when to move, where to move is improving day by day. It's not unnecessary movements. It's closing the right space at the right time. And I remember he actually made a few recoveries. Like he cut down a lot of passes. He won a few duels, and there was this also a fancy moment where he did a roulette and passed it to I think Darmian when Darmian was cutting in. So you can see the confidence. So with Lautaro, I think I'll give him an 8. Yeah, and coming to subs, I think the actual difference maker, in my opinion, you can't really. I don't think there was any basis to give Gagliardini any rating or anyone else a rating apart from Alexis, because Alexis, of course, scored, and you could see the very reason I would never wanted Alexis Jeko deal to happen is because of the dynamism Alexis brings to the system. Even at that point, even when you're 2-0 up, this guy was dragging defenders out of position. He's playing those one-touch passes, and as Manish pointed out, Ericsson, once he dropped further deeper, once Barella was subbed for Vidal, he played two beautiful long balls, and Alexis combined with D'Ambrosio, and he himself could have scored. I think Alexis, brings that dynamism and did a pretty good job. So as a sub, I would give Alexis a 7. And for the goal, so let's make it 7.5. But yeah, that's pretty much for it for me. And yeah, Lukaku's my man of the match as well.
Yeah, Manish, what would you rate Sanchez?
Sanchez, I would rate him an 8. He came on with a lot of energy. He came on, he kept pressing, like Parmeshwar pointed out. And like I was keep saying that he pretty much lost his goal threat. He cannot score anymore with his right foot. So I was glad he scored with a header for a change. And yes, he had one more good chance, which pretty much he scuffled the shot. He didn't give a clean shot, which the keeper
Mm-hmm.
stopped. But nonetheless, Perrin is a very good keeper. And to score against him is very good. I'm glad he broke the duck. I mean, we want him to score because he'll take off pressure off the other strikers. So I'm glad he got a goal with his head. And I was also impressed to see D'Ambrosio back on the
Yeah,
field. Like
yeah,
it's the longest time since we've seen him, and
yeah,
he coming onto the pitch, I think, with a smile and is, whenever he comes on, he'll give his best. And he gave a very good left-footed shot, which the keeper
yeah,
stopped.
yeah. I
It was
actually
a proper
forgot to.
like a Rekuba curler. It was, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that the
yeah.
keeper
Actually,
stopped it.
forgot to mention that. Yeah, actually, Manish, thanks for bringing that because that shot was quite something. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah,
I was like, how did D'Ambrosio
like
of
a
all people?
proper El
Yeah,
Chino Rekuba curler back in the
exactly.
day.
It wasn't a fluke. Like it curled and Perrin was on his day. But I think on that basis, we should give D'Ambrosio a rating. I'll give him a 7. But what about you guys?
Yeah, definitely. But more than rating D'Ambrosio, I'm glad to have him back.
Yeah, yeah,
He played
same.
last few minutes, so I wouldn't give a rating to him. But Sanchez
Yeah,
definitely need for his
yeah,
hunger and his drive.
Yeah,
yeah,
same thing. Like Sanchez, I would give a 7 because, like you said, he missed the chance. His right foot, he just scuffed the shot. That should have been an easy goal for him. Right? The older Sanchez would have like just buried it. But since he scored a goal, I mean, his first touch was a goal. So I would give him. I'll give him an 8, not 7. I give him an
mm,
8.
mm.
Would have given him more if he had scored 2 goals. Come on and just scored 2 goals. So yeah. So those were the ratings, and now for the formation against Parma. Manish, to you first. Like, what would be your starting 11 against Parma?
Uh, I would go with the strongest 11. At this stage, there's no point for risking it out, trying new players. We pretty much, after the longest time, got a formation right, and now I don't see any reason why Conte should change any of the players, unless it's a suspension or injury. But I think pretty much the same 11 with back three of Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, and Danovic at goal, Hakimi, Barella, Brozovic, Eriksson, and Perisic, and the front two of Lautaro and Lukaku. I think this should be start. But I'm for a change. I might think Sanchez may, after scoring a goal, he might start over Lautaro, but that's highly unlikely. But pretty much, I feel an unchanged 11 will happen from Conte's side.
Yeah, for me, uh, I think Vidal will replace Eriksen in the starting 11, and I think Lukaku might be rested. I have a feeling he might be rested, and Sanchez will start alongside alongside Lautaro. Maybe in the first half, we'll see how it goes, and if it's 0-0 at the end of first half, probably at halftime, Lukaku will come in for either Sanchez or Lautaro, and Eriksen also will come in at halftime. But starting 11, I think there'll be two changes with the Vidal and Sanchez starting. Parpeshwar?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gotham, the starting 11 is going to be the same 3-5-2, Handanovic, Skriniar, Devray, Bastoni, Perisic, of course, Eriksen and Barella and Brozovic. And of course, Hakimi will return from his suspension, so he will start for sure. And I don't think Alexis will start this one. I think, to Manish's point, since there are only, as Conte said this, and I strongly believe in this, that there are 14 finals left and we have to take them seriously. We are only in one competition, and yes, we have Atalanta right after Parma. This is a different schedule wherein we are playing on a Thursday, but we do have Atalanta, and Conte said it in his press conference that we will give Parma the utmost respect, and we have enough time to recover for Atalanta. And he did suggest, in a way, also additionally saying that he will field his strongest 11. So I don't think there will be rotation. And with Vidal, I think Eriksen is pretty much in a phase where I don't think benching him helps. Like, I know Vidal wants to play, everyone wants to play, but this is a team effort and everybody needs to do their role when called upon. And Sensi, I don't think he's still going to be fit to play exactly, or even to make it to the squad. He's working towards it, but we all know how fragile he can be. So I don't think he's going to be a part of the squad. And just quickly, if I had to predict a Parma 11, as I said earlier, they have a few injuries going into this match. Just as we were speaking, I just checked that Cornelius has pulled his left hamstring, so he's definitely missing. Gervinho, the biggest threat, as I said, he's going to miss Pella, Zirkzee, everyone, and Parma play a 4-3-3. So they have their keeper Luigi Seppa, who is pretty decent at making saves. His reflexes are pretty good, and I think at right back they'll have Andrea Conti, the ex AC Milan man. At centre back they'll have Jordan Osorio, Matteo Bani, and Gagliolo at left back, and Juraj Kuchka, who tends to probably sort of have a rough game against us. Like, I don't know, he's always fired up against us. And then they have Hernani Kurtic and Mihaila Karamo, our ex-player, and Brunetta at left wing. That's a 4-3-3 for them. Yeah, that's pretty much for Parma. And yeah, as to what I said about the Inter 11, I don't think it's going to change at all. Yeah.
All right. So let's just hope for the best and keep the unbeaten streak going. All right, folks. So that was another episode of Solo Inter
Gotham, we need
Podcast.
to predict. We need to predict.
Oh,
predict
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for the prediction, Parmeshwar, you first.
Yeah.
What would be the scoreline?
Yeah. Since this entire fixture has been like a tricky one, as I pointed out earlier, since Parma's written. So I'm not expecting an easy one, but we have grown a lot. As I said, we have seen the maturity in the team. So, and to your point, Gautam, I know you're always worried about that 7-game unbeaten thing. So considering all of that, I don't think in terms of in the scoreline, it'll be like a challenge per se. Like, I don't think we'll concede, but I think Parma might give us a tough time in phases. So I'm going either for I think I'm just going for a 1-0 win for us. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. That's a very conservative scoreline.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, Manish, what's your prediction?
See, I think Parma over the years has been troubling us quite a bit, scoring goals. But now with a couple of players missing out, I think they might score. Yes, definitely. But I think convincingly we'll win this match 3-1 with Lukaku and all, the whole team fired up. And I think pretty much we've been scoring 3 goals every other last 3 matches, I believe, from the Lazio match, Milan match, now Genoa. So we've been scoring 3. So I'm going with the same run. We might be the score will be 3-1 with Lukaku and Martinez on the score sheet.
Okay, and here's a surprise prediction. I know it's been a long time, so I'm going for 7-0 to Inter.
Oh my God.
I mean,
7-11.
it's due. That scoreline is due
Yeah.
for us. So I think this
Yeah.
will be the game.
But yeah, let's just hope it doesn't backfire. I know I can
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from, because if we put so many goals, to your point, we've scored 60 goals, with a third behind, like the third behind PSG and Bayern, in Europe. But yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't go wrong at least. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's always like you said, like after 7 unbeaten, we
Yeah.
always lose or always lose
Yeah.
something. So if you're going to
Yeah.
beat the jinx, go all out. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
7 days.
jinx, what I feel like I said, Gautam, whenever you win a high scoring match, the follow up match is the jinx. So it's not that. That's my
Yeah, but
concern.
it's
So against Atlanta, and the next one. So I was also glad, Genoa, we didn't score the fourth or fifth goal, three goals. I was happy. Why? Because, it keeps the team grounded. It keeps the team, yes, we
yeah.
need to work more other than a final, and, the atmosphere changes. So, yeah. Cool.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, folks. So that's it for another episode of Solo Inter Podcast. Do follow us on Spotify and other channels where we put the link in the description. And let us know in the comments, like, what do you think of Inter's run? Do you think we should change the lineup for the upcoming games? And what do you think will be the scoreline against Parma? All right. Thank you.